Hi, everybody. My name is Jack, and I'm a compulsive eater. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet. I write those meals down, call them into my qualified gray sheet sponsor. Abstinence today is the most important thing in my life, without exception. My abstinence date is February 1st, 2020. And thanks so much, Laura, for asking me to speak. And Layla, thanks so much for leading. And it's just wonderful to be here. And I'm scared. I'm scared. I haven't spoken in a while and I'm a little nervous. So anyway, I'll just start. One of the things about what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now is really, if I look back, it really gives me the faith and the power in GreySheeters Anonymous. I mean, that is it. It's the history itself. And I know not only is it an outer manifestation of physical recovery, but the inner manifestation of a sense of this food for thought, this food for the soul, this nourishment for this hungry heart, has given me the ability to really do some incredible things. In my absence this time, I had been absent once before for over 4.5 years, once over 5 years, and now it's over 3 years. So I came in 19 years ago, I think, or 18 years ago. And my first meeting was in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And I had been in Brattleboro, Vermont, and I've been going to an OA meeting, OA 90. And this woman came in, new to the area, and she just was different. Like all of you, she had these bright eyes, man. They were like floodlights. Holy shit. And she started bringing in these people, and nobody else was abstinent. And she was clear, methodical. I mean, everything was on time. She had this glow about her and this smile and this sincerity and just all the things that Gray Sheet gives us in abstinence. And so she started bringing these people from Cambridge in. That's a 2.5 hour drive, 5 hour drive round trip. I mean, and in between Cambridge, there was little groups in Keene, New Hampshire, and Orange, Massachusetts, and it was one in Peterborough. It was an OA meeting, and one night she brings our founder Sally in, and I was telling somebody the other day, I said she was like a colonel in the Marine Corps. I just wanted, when she spoke, I wanted to stand at attention, say, what do you want me to do? And she was amazing. She's 4'9", and her husband George was there. They're both dead. Sally died in, I think, 2007. I went to her funeral, and George died about 5 years ago this March. Yes, and I was close with him till the end. And but I was going over to that meeting in Peterborough, which was about 20 minutes from Brattleboro, Vermont, and for about 6 months. And Sally one that night came over to me, and George was in it was like a Greek tragedy. She says, I don't think we can help you here, Jack. And gave me directions to 11 Garden Street, which is, again, a 2.5 hour run back and forth, which was not a big deal because OA 90 people from where I was driving to Medford, Mass, which is, parallel to the Cambridge meeting. So when I got there, she did give me directions. When I get there half-hour early, sit up front, try to say nothing, try to understand that these people are trying to save your life. And when I got there, the greeter was there. She's still abstinent, and a lot of the people from there are still abstinent. And I sit up front, and now there was an AA meeting going on across the room. She didn't say, there's AA. She knew I had that death-starved look in my face, that the eyes. And I sat up front, and a woman, I'll never forget, a woman actually from Vermont, and she was in Cambridge at the time. And she said, if you want to know why you ate, stop eating. And then she says, this is the only way I've learned how to reparent myself. And I had been in 2 orphanages, a Catholic reform school, after my mother's suicide. And so I knew what she was talking about. I heard that so loud and clear. And I got abstinent, and I did a lot of things. I
10
traveled.
left, Jack, 10.
Okay, I'll keep it moving, Nancy. And so I had a good life. And one thing after another, I decided I could do it on my own. And I left for 6 years. I had a child at the time. I have 3 children. And my child at the time was 12. And she wanted to transition from female to male. And it was a huge endeavor. And I didn't know how to talk to anybody about it. There was no playbook for this. And so without a gray sheet, I was flying by the seat of my pants. And I think it would have, for me, looking back, it probably would have turned out differently if I would have stayed abstinent, because I lost quite a bit. And it was just really something. And during that time, she wanted to commit suicide, or he now wanted to commit suicide. He's 26 this month. And he just turned 26. And he lives in Boston. And it was one boarding school to the next boarding school to the residential. The testosterone was driving him nuts. And it was just a lot. So for 6 years, I went from my gray sheet body, which was 160 pounds, to about 289 pounds. It's about 140 pound plus, high blood pressure, diabetes, the whole deal. And people were still calling me from Gray Sheet. And I came back, and I got abstinent, and I loved it. And I was driving still then twice a week, my second abstinence, to Cambridge and Watertown. I didn't care, as long as, of course, it was a great amount of willingness, but the attraction to do this is amazing. And I knew that from the bottom of my heart, that there's something very different, something very beautiful here, it's not vague, very concrete. And I was able to do it. I can do this backwards, the weighing and the measuring on the gray sheet as it's written. I can do it backwards and forwards. And I used to pack all my meals when I went down to Cambridge, all breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if I wasn't packed and backed up and stacked up, I was jacked up, let me tell you. So, you have to have the heart for the battle here. And after 5 years, I was on this meeting quite a bit, and the Ireland meeting, and oh my God, I was doing a lot, and something came up for me, and I got the epits, and I said, I'm gonna do this on my own. And I left for 6 months, gained about 65 pounds. And I was starting to lose myself during that last abstinence. As a result of, I owed about $400,000 for, what is that called? This big, huge catastrophic medical bills for my youngest child. And I have insurance, unbelievable. I'm retired military, retired Marine Corps. I have a lot of insurance, but it was crazy. They foreclosed on my house. I had a surgery. I ate this piece of plastic. It used to be on my desk here. I'm not quite sure where it is. The surgeon gave it to me, and it cut off my lower bowel. I went to the emergency that night, drove myself. I'm not asking anybody. And I went in for emergency medical surgery, went through that, stayed abstinent. My sponsor, you all walked me through that. I've had some real life. For me, it's the small stuff. It's the shoelace. I don't understand it, but I have to stay very, very close now. And when I came back after 6, I was doing the two-way prayer, and I had already, I was really a part of Gray Sheet, and I had a prayer partner that I still talk to. 5 minutes, thanks, Nancy, doing a great job. And you know, I was lost in that 6 months. That 65 pounds, that's the outer manifestation. I had one at I'm 75 now. At 71, I went through a yoga teacher training. I just went through my second yoga teacher training a couple months ago, and in a whole different form of yoga, which is wonderful. And I do teach from time to time, and but you know, when I came back this time, I came back with a whole different attitude, a surrender like I've never known before, a love like I've never known before, an ability to be vulnerable, an ability to bring you into my life, literally bring you into my life. Me living in Vermont, looking back and in my guidance, was not an accident. I was keeping everybody away. I lived on a mountain, 12 acres, the whole deal. And for me to drive 5 hours, there was some method to that madness. And so this time abstinent, and I adore my abstinence. I adore your abstinence. I love it. I can see the light in the eyes, the heart, the posture. Watch people as they come in. They used to have on the slippers in hospitals for alcoholics. I've been to a couple of, well, at VA hospital. They used to have these happy faces on the slippers. So when you're looking down, you're looking back up at a happy face. So anyway, but for the food addict, it's another kind of despair is despair is despair. There's a despair here that with the food that's just I don't even know how to express it or explain it. But anyway, got abstinent. I was with a woman for a long time, and we wasn't saying anything. And she's in Gray Sheet, and we decided, and the pandemic happened, and I was abstinent on that. What happened was I had called my prayer partner up and said, I'm coming to Gray Sheet tomorrow, Westport, which was another 3 hour each way to run for me. And I didn't know I was going to wake up. I packed all my food, drove down to Westport. As I was driving out, my car literally pulled over. You know what I'm saying. I called the guy I used to sit with in Soldiers and Sailors, who I adore. And I called him. I asked him for help. He says, absolutely, he said. And he's my sponsor today. And I went back to a lot of things I do. I'm now the GSR at the Connecticut group, the in-person. I'm on the PIC committee, which I just love, love, love. I have a sponsor. We just took a trip the other day, for a couple of weeks down in Florida. And while I was down there, I had some guidance. And as I was driving, I said the guidance out loud. It just came out of my lips. And I know I'm in that direction now. I just know it. I'm not doing it. It's happening for me as so anyway, and I will tell you, 38 years ago, I stuck a pistol to my chest and I pulled the trigger. I was drunk, all 300 pounds, and that bullet's still in me. I got a
One,
lot.
Jack, one, then you're done. Go for it.
Okay. Thanks so much, Nancy. So I'm not coming from, so what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now for all of us to look back in that rearview mirror and to see, where we come from, see where I came from, and see what Gray Sheet gives us. You guys are amazing, just amazing. And you give me a life that's really worth living today. And I love you all. And thanks again, Laura. Thank you, Layla. And thank you all. You're just so amazing. And I'm going to pass with that. Thank you. Thanks, Nancy.